Every 4 seconds, someone is diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. It's the most common cause of dementia, affecting over 40 million people worldwide. And yet, finding a cure is something that still eludes researchers today. Dr. Alois Alzheimer, a German psychiatrist, first described the symptoms in 1901, when he noticed that a particular hospital patient had some peculiar problems, including difficulty sleeping, disturbed memory, drastic mood changes, and increasing confusion. When the patient passed away, Alzheimer was able to do an autopsy and test his idea that perhaps her symptoms were caused by irregularities in the brain's structure. What he found beneath the microscope were visible differences in brain tissue in the form of misfolded proteins called plaques and neurofibrillary tangles. Those plaques and tangles work together to break down the brain's structure. Plaques arise when another protein in the fatty membranes surrounding nerve cells gets sliced up by a particular enzyme, resulting in beta-amyloid proteins, which are sticky and have a tendency to clump together. That clumping is what forms the things we know as plaques. These clumps block signaling and therefore communication between cells, and also seem to trigger immune reactions that cause the destruction of disabled nerve cells. In Alzheimer's disease, neurofibrillary tangles are built from a protein known as tau. The brain's nerve cells contain a network of tubes that act like a highway for food molecules, among other things. Usually, the tau protein ensures that these tubes are straight, allowing molecules to pass through freely. But in Alzheimer's disease, the protein collapses into twisted strands or tangles, making the tubes disintegrate, obstructing nutrients from reaching the nerve cell and leading to cell death. The destructive pairing of plaques and tangles starts in a region called the hippocampus, which is responsible for forming memories. That's why short-term memory loss is usually the first symptom of Alzheimer's. The proteins then progressively invade other parts of the brain, creating unique changes that signal various stages of the disease. At the front of the brain, the proteins destroy the ability to process logical thoughts. Next, they shift to the region that controls emotions, resulting in erratic mood changes. At the top of the brain, they cause paranoia and hallucinations. And once they reach the brain's rear, the plaques and tangles work together to erase the mind's deepest memories. Eventually, the control centers governing heart rate and breathing are overpowered as well, resulting in death. The immensely destructive nature of this disease has inspired many researchers to look for a cure, but currently, they're focused on slowing its progression. One temporary treatment helps reduce the breakdown of acetylcholine, an important chemical messenger in the brain, which is decreased in Alzheimer's patients due to the death of the nerve cells that make it. Another possible solution is a vaccine that trains the body's immune system to attack beta-amyloid plaques before they can form clumps. But we still need to find an actual cure. Alzheimer's disease was discovered more than a century ago, and yet still it is not well understood. Perhaps one day we'll grasp the exact mechanisms at work behind this threat, and a solution will be unearthed.
I've been working on several health cures recently. I've found substances in pineapple, mango, maybe banana and kiwi fruit that destroy proteins. I'm sure others know this, but it's a question of harnessing it in the right way to make it effective for things like Alzheimer's. And maybe not make it harmful to other proteins. It destroys proteins, this substance. And maybe we could, I didn't understand all of that because it was quite complicated. It can be more complicated than that. Some of the theories I'll try and look at on the internet. But I do get the original idea of the amyloid protein starting the long processes of degeneration of the brain. If we can stop the amyloid really early on, they know this, I'm just saying this to people that don't know, then we could stop the disease progressing to really harmful stages. And maybe we can use these substances in those fruits to destroy that protein, if we can direct it into the right place, not let it harm other parts, proteins in the body. So I do have theories about that, and I think maybe using those proteins could be the key to quite a lot of the solution to Alzheimer's. If we can diagnose it early, use these protein substances, then it could be a reasonable cure or prevention of further deterioration. Curing it will be very difficult once the cells are in trouble in some way that I heard in this video, and the tubeways, whatever, are damaged. It seems pretty difficult to do much about that, but prevention is better than cure, as we all know. So that could be a key to really cutting down the number of people with Alzheimer's in the whole world. I've also worked on cancer cures, COVID cures. Maybe I do have other theories about Alzheimer's to do with potatoes and a sort of amyloid substance that comes from potatoes, whether you can sort of sort out some sort of reaction with that, reverse reaction, or part splitting the amyloid from the potato, then using the potato that was joined to it to bind to the amyloid in the brain and take it away. I don't know whether that's a rubbish theory or not, but I do have a little bit of a idea of that as a possibility. But it needs, what I do is juggle around fruit juices and foods and fit it in with the food we're supplied with here, and swap around the chemicals, to grab some chemicals, take them away, and replace them with different chemicals in the molecules, different atoms in the molecules. And just the basic chemistry of a lot of molecules settling down in equilibrium at 8 electrons around the outside shell, or multiple of 8. That's what I work on most of the time. Just simple chemistry. I had grade B chemistry at high school. I didn't have it in the sixth form at A level. There's a lot of things I can't remember or don't understand about it now. But I understand that general principle. I do see different valences as being important, variable valences. And I think maybe some of them aren't so apparent. I tend to think that some, or you assume some don't have different valences, and you find out that they do. I'm not saying researchers don't know that, but I'm not always aware of that. Oh, and another thing that maybe they know about, having read my stuff, is the reverse current idea, which basically, if it can be set up, can allow cure cell, a drug or medication, which can't get to the germ or the cancer because they're the same charge. They repel each other and they can't bind onto it. Reverse the current somehow in the liquid in between or on one of the substances. They germ together because they're attracted, and it can disable the germ of the cancer cell. And there are substances that do that. I know of 2 of them. I didn't know about the second one until I came across it the other day, and I think there's a third one as well. I do use that from substances I have, but I have to cut down on that a little bit because it's not too. It's a little bit dangerous to do it too much, but I'll moderate that and use it in a moderate way. And that's very interesting, and maybe that combined with some mild herbal cures might make the herbal cures work really well. A lot of herbal medicine I read about, there's loads of different attributes to the teas that I make notes about, and the fruit juice ingredients I make notes about. But I believe the actual effect is only mild and doesn't really cure it in a big scale. But if we can really ratchet up that cure level to something significant like drugs do, medications do, vaccines and pills and that, I could really get somewhere with herbal medicine, but we need to find out the right combinations that really lift the cure level. And that's something I'm trying to work on. Now, I've read about one thing with turmeric that can cause 2,000 times the effect. One combination, that's only one I've heard of. I can't remember what the substances are now. It's the kind of thing that maybe could occur in other cases. And maybe this reverse current could be something that does do that. So I often take a herbal remedy or fruit juice cure combination and then drink the liquid for the reverse current as well to hopefully increase the reaction. Anyway, that's a summary of my work I'm doing at the moment. I don't get any feedback from researchers or anybody. Nobody wants to speak to me. And I'm sure they'd love to, but they can't at the moment because the world situation's so sick, stopping me from progressing. Somebody from either Oxford or Cambridge came to see me in Springfield Hospital about 4 years ago, but there was I had to try and persuade the staff to let me go because it proved my research and my mission was true, that they were denying I wasn't deluded, but they couldn't agree to that, so I refused to see them. I wish I'd seen them now, and I feel so sorry for them travelling all that way to see me and I had to turn them down. Or the staff turned them down when the staff wouldn't agree with me. But I'd like to see that person again and who they represent. Maybe it's one of the early or the first people I see, because I feel so sorry for them making an effort for me in this dangerous world. Maybe not as dangerous then, but it was still very dangerous to make an effort to get some feedback for me. We could discuss things. And I don't know whether it's Cambridge or Oxford. It's one of those two universities a representative came to see me. So I'm sorry about that, but it's beyond my control. I was trying to get out of the hospital so I could do my research really well and carry on with my mission. But I really appreciate you making that effort for me, and we can make progress. Even if you're not the first person, be nearly the first, and do a big and make